Hare Krishna, welcome to part 3 of our module Knowing the Divine. And in this section, we're going to discuss about the origins of that Supreme. Now, many times after hearing all this, someone says, that's fine, it's all logical, but ultimately, I want to see that Supreme. I want to see that great creator or the one who has made all this with all its intelligence. Show him or show her or show they or show it to me, right? And we find that that's not such a bad request. Everyone wants to see. As we say, seeing is believing. But our acharyas or the spiritual gurus or those followers of the Vedic philosophy, they say that why stress so much on seeing? We all have five senses: seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, tasting. So why are you only putting stress on one of these senses to acquire knowledge? In the Vedas, it is called as Jnana Indriya, the senses which help us to acquire knowledge. These five senses. So, why are we only putting stress on one of the senses to see? Why can't we just put stress on hearing? So, in the Vedic philosophy, they say, hear about God, right? And you can smell, you can taste by tasting the food offered to God or food offered to the Supreme. So, in this way, we don't put so much stress only on one of the senses, but all other senses are also valid ways of getting information in understanding. So, give for example, you have the wind. Now, no one can see the wind, but you can hear the wind or you can feel the wind. You may not see it. So, not everything is or has to be seen. If you take in science, for example, electricity, or if you take microwaves that emit, no one has ever seen them, but its effect can be felt, its effect can be known, you can hear about it. So, therefore, in this way, there is a logic of what is called as knowing the unseen by the seen. So, what we are able to perceive, we can actually understand that behind all this, there is something which is not perceived, and that is that divine, that supreme. Now, the Vedic scriptures or the Vedic philosophy states that the supreme divine or the most powerful creator or the controller of this world is a CEO. Now, it's not a chief executive officer, but a CEO is the supreme, is a supreme controller, is a supreme enjoyer, at the same time is a supreme owner of everything. So these qualities of being a CEO is what makes the divine the supreme, or what we may call as God. So they have to control everything. Nothing is without its control. Everything is under its control. Things function in a certain way. It's controlled, and we can see that in our own lives, how the world is moving. There is seem to be an unseen hand that is controlling everything. But that same controller also has to enjoy, has to relish. Else, what is the point of just being a controller? At the same time, it has to own everything. So one who owns everything. Now, we may own something, but one who owns everything. So that is the definition or the origin of a supreme. Now, lastly, in that sense, if the supreme divine is a supreme controller, is a supreme enjoyer, and is the supreme owner, there can only be one supreme, one God, one ultimate. There's a beautiful saying that a rose of any name smells the same. So you may smell a pink rose, a red rose, it all smells the same, fragrant, sweet. So similarly, there's only one supreme creator, and he or she or they or whatever may be known by many names, but a rose of any name smells the same. Now another question comes to mind. Someone may ask, what is the origin of the supreme itself? Does the supreme have a supreme origin? So the Vedic Shastras defined the supreme lord or the supreme divine as Anadir Adir, as one who is the origin of everything, who does not have an origin. How is that the divine is the origin of everything, yet it itself doesn't have an origin? So to understand this, we can look at an analogy of trains. You have trains with many bogies or carriages, and if you look at the fourth carriage, it is being tugged or pulled by the third carriage, which is being tugged and pulled by the second carriage, which is being tugged and pulled by the first carriage, which is being tugged and pulled by the engine. Now, seeing this chain, someone may ask, what is tugging and pulling the engine? Well, we say no, the engine itself is a source of power. The engine itself is able to create its own energy by which it pulls all other carriages, but it itself does not need to pull. So similarly, the divine, the supreme, is like this engine who produces or has its own power where everything is moving with it, but it's not dependent on any other thing else. Hare Krishna.